and that's the boy who cried rigged, the boy who cried fixed. And too many times you hear that in sports. You hear it in the NBA all the time, but then again, we've heard referees say that they were being paid off, right? So it is possible. But I also heard it a lot this weekend when it came to the Chiefs-Jets game. And I don't believe it, but we should speculate a little bit when we discuss the boy who cried rigged. Now, do you ever buy into that theory, or is it just lame?
The NBA 30 for 30 would make you say, ooh, things have been proven to be fixed at times, right?
Yes.
So you can't totally discount it, but anytime something doesn't go the conventional way, there's always someone that says, well, the NFL's fixed. The NBA is rigged. Oh, that's because it's rigged.
Well, Tim Donaghy convinced us all that it's possible. And when there's lots of money at stake, for us to completely discredit it is also odd, right? There's always the possibility.
A couple weeks ago, we talked about how Sean McVay unnecessarily just kicking a meaningless field goal, and that field goal meant the Rams covered the point spread against the 49ers. And he said, I don't even know the point spread of the game going in, but everyone's like, BS.
There's
How
so
do you
much
not
money.
know?
And by the way, just recently, right, there was a clip that you never know what's going through Mike Tyson's head or what he's on in the moment, but he was being interviewed, and he was talking about, like, yeah, there were so many times the refs were paid off. My opponent was fighting not only me, but they were fighting the referee, and they didn't even know it. And then he goes, well, you know what, I'm not even getting into it. And he said that recently, saying that he knew damn well going into the fight that he was still going to win, but that fighter, his opponent, was fighting him and the ref.
So here's the question.
It's not impossible.
Nothing's
We
impossible.
so quickly dismiss it all the time. You know why? Because people say it all too often.
Yeah. So here's the question we pose at 877-99 on Fox. Do you believe, and to what level could things be, quote, rigged in professional sports? When someone says that, do you immediately say, all right, put on your tinfoil hat, loser?
Part of me thinks that for sure.
Or do you say, things are rigged? Because listen, government, in politics, we're lied to all the time. The White Sox scandal, I know, was 100 years ago. I was at Black Sox. And then, referees in the NBA. It's not impossible.
It's not impossible. I approach these stories the same way I approach, hey, we found aliens in Mexico from Peru in 2017. I
started watching that Encounters docuseries, Ramos. Episode 1 I checked out because some redneck dude's like, I saw a UFO and I did what every normal man would do. And they're like, what'd you do, sir? He's like, he got his little propeller plane and was like, I went up in the sky and tried to find it. Well, I'm like, oh boy.
Like I said,
grab a camera.
It's with the thinking of
logical.
I don't believe it, but I'm not closing my mind off to the possibility. Meaning, I don't believe that those are little aliens, but hey, if it's true, then all right, prove it to me.
Didn't that alien turn out to be cake?
It's cake. I mean, according to some
most likely cake.
Is it cake?
So, Rich, I'm going to ask you, do you want to get into things that made you go, Because part of that is the Jets and Chiefs game, because man, they missed some big calls at the end of the game.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to things that made you go but I think we could start and should start with
the boy who cried rigged.
The boy who cried rigged, because that's one of the big things that came out of last night. In fact, did you see what Sauce Gardner had put on social media not a long time ago? This is hilarious.
Well, a lot of things from that game did make me go,
Sauce Gardner wrote,
rigged.
Laughing my ass off. Maybe if I was a Swiftie, the ref wouldn't have thrown that flag.
Okay, now that sounds crazy, right? But I've heard a lot of speculation. It makes you say, but it ties into, you believed in rigged conspiracies, rigged theories. And again, it loses its impact because people are so quick to say that all the time. But what about these instances where you're like, come on, like the fight this weekend, and maybe this game? Here's the thinking behind it. I'm not buying into it, Rich, but we can't close our mind to it, okay? The thinking is, when you got millions of people checking out the Sunday night game who never watched football before, millions of potential new fans in the NFL,
to the point where they had Carson Daly do a, hey Swifties, here's a breakdown of what football is.
To the point where they were paying lots of money to air these Taylor Swift ads. her concert ads, the movie theater ads, the commercials. If the NFL's seeing all the benefits of the Taylor Swift effect with endorsements, with ratings, and with millions, I said it, millions of new potential fans, are they going to allow the Jets just to win and beat Travis Kelce, who, by the way, people are saying is America's sweetheart during this big game?
When you say it like that,
millions on the line.
When you say it like that, I think tinfoil hat. I'm like, that just sound ridiculous. Who cares about Taylor Swift fans?
Hold on. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm telling you what some of the backstory is. You could just say, hey, the NFL wanted the Jets to win that game, plain and simple, and maybe, or you could say that the refs just missed some big calls.
They're human. They're human.
You could say that too. But also when you tie into the millions of dollars that they're making from the Taylor Swift effect, that it adds more to the fact that maybe it was rigged. And I'm not saying I'm buying into it, but I'm not closing my mind to it. When you have that much money involved, you never know.
See, that seems silly. That's tinfoil hat to me.
Okay.
Now, the Ramos fight over the weekend, when clearly they're trying to elevate the other guy, I think rigged to me works the best where it's the most reasonable. If you're a skeptic like I am, like, crap's not rigged, stop. I do believe things are rigged when a fight in the UFC or boxing is close enough and it benefits
the money guy.
And it benefits the league, the organization, or people,
whoever the cash cow is,
for this guy to win.
Right.
Like in the
you see it a lot.
Yeah, in the boxing world. It benefited, it'll benefit a lot of times for some guy. I'll give you an example. Triple G wasn't the sweetheart. They wanted Canelo to win. I'm convinced that when those guys fought back in the day, I think
Canelo sells pay-per-views.
Canelo sells more pay-per-views.
Right.
I think Ngannou fighting Tyson Fury, the boxing world's like, please don't get shocked by Ngannou because they have this Usyk-Tyson Fury fight lined up. The only thing that can make that less awesome is if Ngannou beats Tyson Fury for some weird reason. So I think that boxing in the fight game, way more possible. If you think they rigged a Sunday night football game for Taylor Swift fans?
I don't think so, but you just read a quote from Sauce Gardner, and I'm telling you the BS that you read and hear about on social media. I don't believe that either, Rich. What I believe is that Kansas City got a few calls at the end of the game. I do believe that.
Let me ask Dan Byer.
For what reason, I don't know. Look, they're the Chiefs. But there was some blatant holding going on, especially that run that Mahomes had at the end. When Mahomes ran for that first down, some blatant, obvious holding. And so many times, so often, I say to myself, man, the refs are really on it, man. They catch how did they even see that? But then sometimes you say, well, how did they miss that? How did they miss that? So they actually even threw a flag on the Jets on that call, on that play. So it does make you think. I'm not putting the tin hat on. I'm just relaying the story here, guys. It's the boy who cried rigged, because when we say it too often, we water it down and we discount the possibilities that it actually happens.
Dan, do you think it's crazy to say that the NFL would care about Swifties watching?
Sounds crazy.
Like to the point where there'd be something crazy, rigged?
Well, I think those are two different questions. Like I do think that they care that Swifties are watching for their bottom line, not to rig an outcome.
I think the Jets winning would have benefited the NFL because it keeps that dream alive that Aaron Rodgers may at some point come back.
Yeah. True.
Right? I mean,
hold on. Think about it this way, Dan Byer. If the NFL didn't care, you don't think they would have said something about, hey, don't go to Swift so much every time we mention Kelsey's name. They do that with intent. They do that because they know ratings.
Yes.
And people are watching. So we're sick of it already, and we're rolling our eyes a little bit, even though we're rooting for the story. But the NFL intentionally said to the networks, hey, man, go to it. Ride this wave. She sells tickets. She's a huge star. She's a difference maker. Keep those things. If those things are thought out ahead of time and premeditated, why is it so impossible to think that they want the Chiefs to win that game? That's all I'm saying. I'm not buying into it. I'm just not closing my mind off to it. There's millions at stake here.
Just a quick take a football angle of it. You would think someone of Sauce Gardner's level, even though he's been in the league only a couple of years, would get away with a play like that. Like we give superstars leeway.
Yeah.
And not that maybe he's not a superstar, but he is a star in this league. And for him to be called on that penalty, considering how late it was, I think that a referee could have thrown a late flag on the hold after you see Mahomes run the 20-some yards for the first down.
That was such a hold. It was so bad, too.
I got to ask also, Robert Saleh at the end, rightfully so, furious. Is that a top 5 time you've seen an NFL coach that mad? I'm trying to think. Harbaugh would get mad at times.
Some of those old guys, they would get, but he's just so ripped and fit.
Robert Saleh looked like...
Luke Pinella used to get pretty
I was
mad.
like, Robert Saleh looks like he wanted to murder someone last night. Like, his body language was like, yo, at the end, I was like, oh, I hope he keeps getting personal fouls. Like, I was like, keep going, Robert.
Well, because that game could have redeemed the season.
Changing.
Yeah, it was a season-changing game for the Jets. And it would have been a great moral victory, even though Shedeur Sanders doesn't know what that means. It would have been a great moral victory for the Jets, let alone as the Chiefs, just put them back on track. Now, let me make it clear again. I'm Covino. That is Rich. I'm not saying I buy into it. What I am saying is I wouldn't be surprised. I don't discount those things. As Ted DiBiase said, I grew up a kid of the 80s. Everybody's got a price. So when you got millions of dollars and millions of fans, you never know. We've heard crazier things. We've heard it in professional sports.